So here we are, California and Spain, Dale and Lisa.
And actually not so sunny Spain today. I went out for my last walk today, and oh my goodness me, it was very, very dark and gloomy. But normally it's beautiful and sunny. So yeah, absolutely amazing. So here we are, facing the unknown. It was kind of curious when you broached facing the unknown, because you took me on several journeys. You know, when you said let's talk about facing the unknown, I was thinking I have faced, and I'm sure that you have, and I'm sure that anyone who's listening has faced the unknown so many times and not known what to do, but being able to take that next step. And I guess it's probably people will either freeze, or they'll run like mad, or they'll take the next aligned step. And what came into my head was, I remember years and years and years ago, I had a thing called a husband, and I discovered he'd been living a double life the whole time that we were together. So nothing illegal, but very immoral, very promiscuous, highly risky. And I remember discovering this secret life. And 6 weeks later, I packed it. We had a motorhome, and I woke up one morning and I went, "This is the day I'm leaving." I didn't have a clue. So what I did is I packed everything up, put my 2 dogs in. I drove to my friend's house. We had a bit of a party for the weekend, walked the dogs on the beach, sat and drank lots of Prosecco, talked, just had the most wonderful time. And then on the Sunday, and when I got to her house, I booked a ticket for the ferry to France. And I'm just like, oh, what am I doing? And I thought, well, and the house I'm in, it was an old rundown house, and it still needs a lot of work. So I had a destination.
Yes.
Everything else in between was kind of, I'm not sure. But I've driven, I've driven through France on my motorbike. So, it's not like, that they have roads like everybody else, and, they have places to stop. So it's not like there was anything terrifying, but my mum was terrified, because she was waiting for me. She lives in Spain as well. She sat waiting for me, completely facing the unknown. Was her little baby daughter going to make it to her house? Would some bad people come and waylay her on the way and take her off and to join a traveling back? So all that stuff was going through my mum's mind, and I was just thinking, first night, I just got to drive through the whole of France to get to Spain, and then I'll stop. And then, 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up and I drove the next leg. And so I knew that there were roads and destinations and places to get to. But what I didn't know is, when I got here, what would I do? What would I do?
So you were making this huge life transition, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so, and I love that. I love that you're sharing that major transition of facing the unknown with this marriage and relationship that you woke up one day and just said, okay, this is the day I'm out of here. And at the same time, what's so juicy to me about facing the unknown is we do certainly do that at different times in a big way in our life, but on a more intimate, daily, moment to moment basis, almost as a way of living, to trust I can face the unknown moment to moment, and that it's part of being fully alive. So if I'm fully alive, it means I'm probably in the unknown a lot, and I think for my cocoon to butterfly work and life's work around full expression, around freedom, around being and accessing our full aliveness and joy, it's about freeing up the conditioned part to some degree about, I know who I am, I know what I'm up to, I'm in the known, and I think that part, although we may need a certain amount of that to feel safe, it's a lot of what the old cocoon skin is. Once we're spreading our wings and we're knowing that, kind of like you spoke about, you knew this marriage was over. But then there was a certain point when you really jumped out of the cocoon, so to speak, and you were flying in the unknown. But what I'm fascinated with is just being conscious for myself of the pattern of how I keep myself safe unconsciously without even realizing it, by needing to plan the future, needing to get more information, gathering and accumulating stuff that keeps me safe. Like the tiger, like the sort of the primal tiger that we're conditioned on a very ancient level in our DNA and in our nervous system to be like, oh, if I'm in the unknown, it means the tiger might be there. We're kind of programmed to like, to get so, I'm just going to let that go. I could really feel that coursing through my nervous system as I was saying that to you, Dale. But I think that's what I'm really interested in exploring. How do we break free of our conditioning when we feel that, that energy that keeps us? It's a fear. It's a survival thing.
It's you use the word plan, and I think we are conditioned from a young age. We're in school and we're given a timetable. So we know where we're going to go and at what time we're going to go. And then we move into the world of work and business. We have to be at our desks by a certain time. We have to have lunch. And then when we, if you, move into the world of running your own business, you're constantly faced with people who say, have you got a plan? Have you, and I'm going to confess, right? I'm a journal junkie. But I will never, ever, ever buy another planner as long as I live, because I've bought planner after planner after planner, and I feel like I'm being shoehorned into having to, for every moment of the day, have no white space. And I think the unknown is actually being able to. It's like, if you imagine that you've got these little bits of the day, and this and you've got these spaces, and what you want to do is you want to come out of this frenetic whatever it is. I mean, I don't live a frenetic life, but just sit in the space, and in the space as you've described, just don't know, just be. Don't have this expectation. I mean, I do have a to-do list, but I keep it in my head. I know I do plan. I'm not saying I don't plan. I have a vision board. I have stuff written down.
Right.
But things get done as they are meant. That they get done. And when I've had enough of anything, I don't actually go and sit in the space. I go and take the dogs for a walk. But I just go out, and it's whatever will be. Whatever greets me.
Yes. And I love the beauty of that, because we do need to have certain things to function in the world, whatever we're doing, we need to have certain things. But I love the way you spoke about those empty spaces, and I know both of us are passionate about following our hearts, being connected to our intuition. And I think also when we can drop the known plan, or this is who I am, this is what I'm up to, and just simply stop and be present, like you're saying, in those spacious moments in between, and feel our way into what wants to happen.
You see, what's lovely is I've got like a little mini vision board down there. So it's a cork board one side, and I've pinned some pictures in on the other side. It's got 3 things that are really important to me, one of which is writing a novel. So this novel idea has been milling around in the spaces for a long time, right? And what is interesting is, now that I have a plan, that's my heart's goal for the coming period, because that's my heart's goal. what's happening in the spaces. So someone asked me today, tell me about your novel. Now, I've only made a couple of little notes about how this novel is going to evolve, but when I'm in, because I've planned I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Then I've let it go because the time is not right yet, because I'm building other things that give me the basis to do it. But it's planned in. And what's happening is when I go for a walk or I sit on the terrace and I'm just daydreaming, if someone had asked me 5 months ago, what is your novel about? I'd have said, well, it's vaguely this. And what I did today is I said, well, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. I'm not really sure about whatever. And this is the end. And she just said, I want to read your book. That sounds so brilliant. And it's because I've stepped into the unknown. I've stepped into the fear and just said, just send me whatever I need to know when I need to know it. That story is forming. And if you take that analogy for anybody who's facing the unknown, if you sit, the next part of your story will simply unfold.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't, there's too much going on in here.
Yeah, and what I find when I'm working with clients as well is sometimes there's so much discomfort, in moving forward as they're becoming more vulnerable and more available to, like your example, like writing the novel, say, and this is like another angle of it. When I'm working with a client and they're in discomfort and it's so uncomfortable, what I try to encourage them to be with is to comfort themselves and to know that that's normal. Because a lot of times, especially in the Western world, we're programmed to if it's uncomfortable, something must be wrong. My conditioning, like you spoke about the teacher, or the mother that told us to do things a certain way. So we have all of this, this programming to be busy. And if it's uncomfortable, something is wrong. So I try to reassure my clients as they're emerging out of their cocoon and into this new unknown territory. It's normal. In fact, it's good. If it feels uncomfortable, yes, say yes to that part.
But it's like, how did we not give ourselves permission to stop? How did we not give ourselves permission to be vulnerable, to not know? I mean, I guess I'm like everybody else. We all are our own worst enemies. We sit there and we're going, we want to know. I mean, I have a pendulum and, I hardly ever use it now, but I used to sit there for ages going, right, show me that this amazing thing's going to happen. And my pendulum would do whatever my energy told it to do. And it didn't necessarily tell the truth, but we rely on stuff that's outside of ourselves. And really what the wisdom within means is
absolutely.
These are great tools. These are great tools. But what we do need to do, and I loved, when you were talking earlier, you put your hands to your heart, is we need to bring ourselves back into this space and just breathe in and go, take your awareness to your heart and just go, to know. And, you might not get an answer in the moment, but our wisdom is very, very clever, because as we're moving about the day, we'll get a snippet of a song. We'll see an image that means something. We'll smell something. If I go down and walk into the Rambler, suddenly I'm hit by a smell and it reminds me of something that maybe I should be doing. And not should, I hate the should word. Don't say the should word. But something that I might want to explore.
Yeah.
But it's the wisdom within. We when we're facing the unknown, again, working with clients, you'll find that some clients will come to themselves and say, I know, yes, you're right, I know the answer, I know what to do. And then others will say, well, tell me, or they'll go and ask somebody else to tell them, because there is that fear of the unknown, when we're standing there and there's this big massive void, you know,
Yeah.
really imagine if you're standing at the void. Don't do a Thelma and Louise and drive off the end of the cliff, but just imagine that you are an angel and you have wings growing like your butterfly. So we're standing on the edge of the abyss and we don't know. What if we just flapped the wings and we went forward and just had that faith that whatever that next flight was, that next step was, actually, you know, that's about spreading those wings and really trusting this. Trusting this
Absolutely. And being with the discomfort of that at times, it can be very uncomfortable, you know, and again, you know, the why we're programmed as little kids to mind our parent. You know, the safety is in doing what mommy says or daddy says to do and being a good kid, you know, the good child.
I don't think so. My mum, I tell you, my mum said she would, you know, give me something to do. And then she'd go off and maybe do a housework or whatever. And then she'd turn around and she'd wonder where her naughty little child was. And her naughty little child had got out of the house. This is all the time, would scamper off down the road. And she said we lived near a busy main road. And she said one of her most terrifying moments was I was on the other side of this very busy road. I'd laid down on the grass and I had my head in the traffic going like this. So, you know, we don't all do what our parents say, but you know, that's
invisible. It's invisible conditioning too. I mean, I know for myself, and it's shown up, you know, it's shown up 50 years later, but I know because of my nervous system and is very sensitive. I'm empathic, you know, and so I grew up with the role of being the responsible one for the emotional well-being of my family. Right. And so I have to continually work with that because I tend to first think about other people and their feelings and care. I can be the caretaker and caregiver. So it's a lot of that conditioning has given me a great success in my life because I'm very responsible and I get things done and I think about others and I tune into a whole space. So I know how to navigate it in a certain way, but the other side of it is it can automatically feel loving to tend to other people. And I have to wake up in that moment to what can feel like love, but I'm not really in the unknown. I'm in the known. It, you know, feels really comfortable just to take care of others. So if I can stop and be in the unknown, uncomfortable, should I give my husband a call to remind him about this? Or because I feel people and I, you know, so I'm constantly navigating that place between, you know, using my metaphor between that cocooned, conditioned old skin and my fresh wings as I emerge into a new level of freedom to really be present, to really be in love with life, and to be free of a lot of this conditioning, which is invisible. You know, it's invisible, and yet it's its own prison.
But isn't it fascinating that and I don't know if it's a female thing or, like you say, we're conditioned to, because we're very emotional women, we're very kind and very caring, to maybe put others before ourselves and actually step back and not do that unconditional conditioning and be in that vulnerable space where you then your brain starts to go, but they're going to think I'm horrible because I don't care about them anymore. Absolutely, you know, right. And all that kind of washing machine stuff's going on, and you just think, and actually it's okay to like stand in that space, because that's like being on the edge of the abyss again, you know, because if you fall, you will get caught. You'll get caught by your wings, or someone else will catch you. You know, everything will be okay. So we truly don't have to expend our energy living in our patterns.
Right.
But we have to stop, don't we? We have to stop to notice, to become aware, to stand in the space and go, ooh, what do I do now?
Right. Yeah, and then to listen to our hearts,
Yeah.
to our intuition.
Mm.
Yeah, to open up. And yeah, and there's so much aliveness there. And just on a more meta global level, let's say a species level on this planet, we are in such an amazing time now of transition.
Oh,
You
yes.
know, where many people want to cling to the known, to the way it was. You know, let's keep life great as it was. You know, and then there are those that are more interested in evolving and becoming, you know, different and alive and fresh. And so I think we're in this time of the unknown, between almost sentences of our past history and what's to come, and whether we'll be able to survive on this planet as we are. You know, that's a whole nother question. But being in the unknown, being in the unknown of that, you know, and how do we listen deeply to our hearts, and also go into the unknown together, like you and I here now. You know, how do we join together so that we're moving into this next chapter of the unknown future of humanity?
I think, Lisa, for me, that's about creating connection and
Yes.
community with the right kind of people, where you can explore stuff as a connected two or three or four, however that works. But I think as well, you know, we're both you know, big journalists. We journal in different ways. We both use color, but we, you know, you draw and I scribble. You know, I write in different colors. The writing helps us to get the stuff out and to go inside, but we have to, for the sake of our humanity, we have to create the connection, so that when we do, you know, move into the unknown, we can do it in a supported way, in a really in a conscious way.
Yes.
I've been practicing that while I've been down there. I've been thinking, which way round is it? Can I speak and do my hands? But it's about creating those connections. And if we create the connection not only with ourselves, but with, you know, like you and I have done, then we have a much greater chance of evolving in a much gentler way, but a fun way as well.
Yes. Well, and when you're talking about connections and community, I can't stop but thinking about the brain, and how the recent research has revealed the neuroplasticity that happens when, I mean, our brains are basically lazy. They're going to take the path of least resistance. And when we can be in the unknown and make new connections, and like you just mentioned, the journaling, I journal several times a day, sometimes all day long, back and forth with other things, because it's the most intimate connection where the creative new information comes through, and it's almost like making those new neural pathways in the new freeway connections. So it's so research is showing that, brain research, that there's something happening, you know, on a bioelectric level within our brains. And perhaps if you want to go to the global level as well, that perhaps we're connected to something larger than ourselves that's alive, you know, and that also is forming new pathways. So it's all part of this wondrous wondrous gift of being alive at this time in the 21st century.
I mean, humanity certainly doesn't have a map for what's happened and is happening. And, you know, governments don't know where they're going. People don't know. You know, there's been so much unrest, you know, in recent times. And yeah, you know, where's it all going? What's going to happen? You know, I've sat many a time and thought, so when I was in Soul Place, what made me want to come to Earth at this time? Truly, you know, what am I here to do in terms of humanity? Why would I have chosen? Why didn't I choose a time when I could have been a lady who went to balls and lived a gay life? You know, what am I doing here? And you know, what am I doing here? And all this nonsense that's going on. But we've I truly believe that we choose to, come to earth and live whatever it is, whatever knowledge we had beforehand. When we arrive, we shoot down the birth canal and we forget what our mission is. And it's like, oh, there we are then. And that's our first experience of the unknown. We come out of that lovely safe womb, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, here we are on earth. So anyway, maybe that's a good place to end, that we've arrived, we've birthed, and we are constantly birthing into the unknown.
Yes, absolutely. And keep journaling, keep listening, and stopping to be present.
Absolutely.
What a joy to share with you. It's always fun, Dale, how we go into these different vistas with
I know it's great.
Our exploration into the unknown.
So
in the heart.
Sorry. I was about to say, so when we traverse from the unknown, how do we find you? I was trying to do this amazing link then.
Yes. Oh, please visit my website and find the gifts that are there for you, free gifts, at lisalongworth.com. And I also have 2 books that are available on Amazon, and have other things that I would love to share. So reach out. Like Dale, I love to stay connected to you and answer questions and be a resource, or just be in the unknown together. So lisalongworth.com or dr@lisalongworth.com is a great way to reach out.
Perfect. And you can find me at dalediley.com. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook. And I too have a whole load of journaling books on Amazon. So between us, we have a lot of resources and things that you can tap into, which is wonderful. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Won't we?
Bye-bye. 2 wings, 1 body, 1 joy, 1 aliveness.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.